Hey, Lord of the Rings fans, it's your boy, New Better, Do Better here. It is time to revive the podcast, to revive it, man. We about to come into 2025, so we coming with the dope episode today. As always, I got the best co-host ever, KaliCosplay. What up, Kali?
Hi, everyone.
Kali in the building, coming all the way from Canada.
Way up north.
You already know the vibes now. Usually, I let Callie introduce the guest, but this guest happens to be a friend of mine, you know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I got to do this. This is somebody who I greatly admire. I follow their content. I've watched them grow. I'm so absolutely proud of all the things that they're doing. They're captivating. And when I tell you, you get nothing but the truth and themselves from them, that shit is amazing to me. And I love that. Never change who you are. Everybody give a round of applause for the one, the only Fantastic Frankie.
Yeah!
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
What up,
The nice,
Frankie?
that's the nicest you've ever been to me. I'm sorry.
Yo, as she know the vibes. Now
I
she know
believe
I
that.
fuck with her, but I'm gonna call her
It's
all
New
kind
York.
of
It's New York love,
cornballs and every.
right?
Sometimes
We
people
gonna
will
get
be
into
like,
it.
"Is Newbetta mad at me? He was being mean to me." And I go, "Oh, no, that's his love language."
Yeah,
That's
I was like, that's a love language that means we care about you.
Facts. A lot of
Absolutely.
people don't know that. So, what's up, Callie? What do we have on the agenda? I know you got a ton of questions for us to ask. I'm gonna just elbow my way in and ask what I want to ask anyway. But let's get started. Let's get this thing started because I'm hyped.
All right, so we are recording on December the 14th, and yesterday was a huge day for the Lord of the Rings fandom. We got a new movie. It's amazing, called The War of the Rohirrim, and it's in theaters now, so definitely try to go see it over the holidays if you haven't already. We can get into that, but I know that Frankie is relatively new to us over here at Lord of the Rings, and so before we get into that interesting topic, maybe. Frankie, do you want to tell us about your introduction and what you think so far and how it's all going?
Of the film or just Lord of the
Of
Rings
Lord of the
in
Rings in
general?
general.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. It's funny. I think I'm right at a year. Last year, yeah, during like I call it the Christmas break. I'm not in school or anything, but that's what I always feel. Where the
Yeah.
world slows
Summer
down,
break,
all
March break, Christmas break.
yeah,
Yeah.
all the shows are on hiatus, all the films were out, and I was like, well, I want to do content. And everyone, I've always been jealous of Lord of the Rings. Like, there's their own con. Rings of Power was out, and they were putting
Mhm.
in all these people of color, and I was just
Mhm.
genuinely interested. So I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and just watch the film. So I watched all three extended editions of the films, and I
You
approached
did
it
good.
like thank you. I approached it like a series. So I'd watch like an hour, and then I would watch like supplementary videos, Nerd of the Rings, New Rock Stars, and then as I started chronicling, I started to watch New Betters and Don Marshall's content as well to kind of give me more context. And it's a lot of information. I've been trying to read the books. Um, the books are hard. They're a hard read. Um, so it's it's description to a point where it's gratuitous. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like
We all acknowledge
Jesus,
that. Yep.
Jesus fucking Christ. I was reading one passage and it was like a paragraph about a rock.
Mhm. I'm sure it was a
Nothing
nice
happens with
rock,
this
though.
rock. Nothing happens with this rock. Nothing. And so I just feel like I'm doing homework when I'm reading it. So I'm trying my best. And then I watched Rings of Power. I very much enjoy Rings of Power, but I think I'm in this space with the movie that I just watched with the shows that I my base knowledge are the films. And so I don't have that extra knowledge to taint or make me feel like I'm missing out when I'm watching anything else. And so like Rings of Power, I very much enjoyed because I don't know what's going on with it, so to me it's just another fantasy story and I really like it. I think there's not that many high fantasy anymore. Like all the fantasy that's out is realistic. Like even if it's set in the Middle Ages or whatever, it'll be like Game of Thrones where like it's really about misogyny and stuff, and
The
then
politics, yeah.
yeah, and there's a
Yeah.
dragon in it. You know what I mean? So I'm enjoying it. I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lot more grounded. A lot more
Yeah.
grounded. But that's one of the things that like I already followed you and because your takes and I actually appreciated your takes. Not that I agree with them, but I appreciated them. Now, when I say that, I know that you're like, what does that mean? No,
Yeah. I want to
it's
know which
I
ones.
I really want you to understand that as on this internet, people are trolls. A lot of people are not who they say they are. A lot of people don't stand on what they stand on, and a lot of people don't aren't really as thought provoking as they like to appear to be. You actually analyze something and you come up with, your thoughts on it, and that's something that like, yo, oh shit, I never thought about it like that. And nobody can't take that away from you, whether
Yeah.
they agree with it or not. And it is ill. That is so amazing. It's dope. So I always was like, oh shit, I never looked at it like that. But who am I to tell you that's not how you saw something or how you feel about it? I
Yeah.
could come and be like, hey, as somebody who is in this genre or whatever, this is what this actually meant if I thought so. But I can't tell you that it doesn't mean that to you, which is, I think that's super weird, unless, you know what I mean, you were trying to, unless you were trying to twist it into something else, which that never was the case. And I
Yeah.
was like, yo, that is actually really dope. And it really was always thought provoking. And it was always just, it was never done out of malice. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I appreciated that. And I think most people did appreciate that. Then you get the fanboys that literally just don't, they hate everything. And they like, oh no, what do you mean that what do you mean this is against the woman? Or what do you mean this is means this? And they don't want nothing to be nothing other than what they and
What
that
they
shit is
see.
yeah, what they see. It's like, of course you don't see that because it don't happen to you, or it's so corny. It's like, yo, come on, man, don't do that. You know what I'm saying?
And
So
my biggest goal is to challenge people to ask why. And what are the interpretations of things? So, like, I think a perfect example was the ending of Lord of the Rings, the films. I'd made a video sad because to me, Frodo killed himself. Now, I know the facts. I know he was going on a journey to Valinor. I read up, I watched it after, but I'm asking why. Why did he feel the need to say goodbye to Sam? Why was this so tearful? Why was the music this way? Is he coming back? So what does that mean? Why did he give that whole speech about how living is too much now, right? Like, and why did it come after? It's crazy because, like, at the end, like, as the Eagles grabbing Frodo and they're leaving, I audibly said, what do I do in my life now that it's over, right? Like, it's done. And then the next scene is Frodo saying, like, I don't know what to do in my life right now. Like, like I went on this epic adventure. I had this huge purpose. I went against what I was raised to be, what my culture is about. I'm an outcast. My uncle is old, decrepit, and leaving. Let me make sure my best friend is good, and then I'm gonna leave too. And so to me, it felt like he was like, I can't. Oh, and I have perpetual pain that I can't get rid of. You know what I'm saying? But people
yeah.
were really getting upset with me. And I'm like, listen, I understand what the logistics are. And I understand also, and I know this is terrible. Fuck JK Tolkien, whatever his name, Tolkien, for saying he doesn't care about allegories when it's clear they're all throughout the books, it's all throughout the films. But clearly, this was an allegory for people with PTSD after war. Like, he wrote this during World War II. And a lot of them commit suicide, right? A lot of them do that. So I just want people to feel that. And I think people get viscerally upset when they have to, like, confront things other than magic, you know?
I definitely feel you. I made a video. I commented on that, and
Yeah.
I made a video, and I was like, "Well, he didn't kill himself, like you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying." But I'm not gonna come at your coof. I'm not gonna come at your coof for it. I'm gonna try to break it down best as I
Yeah.
can. So just an example of how these conversations go left, but it's so dope. It builds up your base, and then you now, like I said, I'm thinking like, damn, it do kind of look like that. I understand what she's saying. You know what I'm saying? And in essence, in a way, you're correct. And then, you know what I'm saying? But I'm looking at it always from a lower point, from something
Yeah.
that I do know. And I'm like, okay, so he accomplished everything that he's the only person that could do this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I give Frodo a hard time. Just so everybody knows that. I give Frodo a
Yeah,
very
you
hard
Do
sure
time.
you
do.
give him a hard time?
I give him a hard time.
What?
And
I-
he is the only person that could do the hardest thing ever. And then at the end
yeah.
of it all, what does he have to show for it but this pain, this
Yeah.
aching? So he goes to the only place that literally he can find peace and thing. It's the only way he can like literally be like,
And
I've
listen,
accomplished this thing. What do I get out of all this? You know what I'm saying? It's his time. He's did what he's needed to do. Sam and everybody else is in Harrisonshire, and he did what he had to do, and that pain is always going to be in him because of that, like you said, that PTSD is always there. That's the
yeah.
only way he can assuage it is to go over to Valinor. Now, in a sense, he's going to technically die faster, but he's not
Yeah.
going there to kill himself. He's just going there to find his peace, and it's
Yeah.
kind of like a reward because not everybody can go.
Yeah,
Not
you
everybody can
know,
go there.
to me, it felt like he was opting to go to heaven. Like
Well,
even
yeah, it's like he's in a better place
he's
now.
in a better place that he can't return from. And it's like, yeah, especially when I saw Rings of Power and I saw the elves going to Valinor, and even like Galadriel's decision not to go felt like she was like, I'm not trying to die. I have things on Earth to do. You know what I mean? They were disrobing them. The music was like, ah,
The
and to,
birds in the sunset.
yeah,
Yeah,
and the iconology was identical to Norse mythology, Greek mythology, where like warriors who they were dressed in in armor, were warriors. When you die a glorious death, you go to, isn't it called Valinor? What is
yeah, Valinor. Yeah, yeah,
Valhalla.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You
yeah,
got it. You got it, Frankie.
Valhalla. Yeah, they go to
Valhalla.
Valhalla.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, this is clearly all the same thing. But yeah, I understood, and that's my biggest thing, right? Like I know the facts. I know the events that occurred.
Yeah,
But what does this mean? And this is actually an incredible segue into the film. The film starts off and there's a confrontation between, what's his name?
Freka.
Wolf's fight, Freka
Oh, Freka and
and
Okas,
then
yes.
Helm, right? And Helm is like, you could catch these hands
Catch me
outside.
outside.
Yeah. And what he really was saying, or even before then, before they go into that, before Freka even speaks, it's they're making it known the shield maiden is talking to Hera and she's saying he's comfortable. We are not here to we already are being disrespected because he called this meeting. And so Freka was met with hostility immediately. And I was talking to my friend who's a big Lord of the Rings lore head about it, and they're like, "You don't understand the disrespect. You don't understand this. You don't understand that." And I was like, "I understand. I don't know the lore behind it, but all I know is the first thing they said about Freka was he's comfortable. He's here to disrespect me." And before he opened his mouth, they were upset with Freka. And then the first thing out of the king's mouth was to call Freka fat. Right? And then Freka moved. Like and that's what I really loved about the film. I thought I was gonna 1000% be behind Wolf, and I was. I understood where Wolf was coming from. He took it a little too far. And
Yes, you
you
sure
get
a little
did.
too
it,
far.
he
Yeah,
You
took
they
sure
it
made it. They
did.
did that. They did that. But
to the
let me
point
tell
where
you
I was
something.
like, I can't support you no more, bro. I'm
This is the
trying.
thing what they do, and this is wild, and this is a framing that they're
Mm,
very good at.
yeah.
That I'm not 100% behind. I got to keep it a G.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
let me tell you, boom. If we're gonna use this, analogy with two films. So we're gonna say how they framed Freka immediately. So they
Right.
make it so you can't like him. So boom, they put that in there like, yo, he
Hmm.
calling me, oh, he being boisterous. They how he look, his whole demeanor. You like, I don't like this guy. This guy,
Yeah.
who this guy think he is? He calling the meetings. You ain't the king, you a lord. And I don't like the way you talking.
Yeah.
I don't like the lines on your face. You immediately like, yo, this guy kind of funny. Now we take that, we move it to the Lord of the Rings. If we watch the Fellowship of the Ring, you immediately don't like Boromir right away. You kind of like,
Oh,
yo,
I didn't like
yeah,
Mormon.
you like,
Yeah.
yo, why you drop the sword? Pick that shit up.
Yeah.
That's crazy. They frame that way to make you not like them. So you gotta So you can't have a reason to really, unless they redeem themselves, which he ended up doing at the end of the movie. You automatically had something in your head where you like, that shit ain't right. I don't like this guy. And
Yeah.
they do that on purpose. Boromir is super not like that. Boromir is the most respectful person on the face of the earth when it comes to like an artifact of something like that. So for in the movie, I was like, oh, I know what they're
But
doing. I don't like that they're doing that. Even though I know in that medium, they have to explain why is this guy going to be the one they have to worry about.
right, but I think in both cases, in Boromir and in Freka, we don't like them because they're against our protagonist, right? They're rude to our protagonist. But when you really sit there and you consider what they're saying and why, when Boromir was being tough in that meeting, it was like we can't just go to it made
He's
sense. He
he's
was
saying the
saying
truth. I
he
say that
was
all the
like
time. Thank
he
you.
was he was like, why are we being very cavalier about this? We can't just go
You
there.
cannot do
When,
this, bro.
and they were talking about, it's funny, it's a fantasy land, but they're talking essentially about things that don't exist. In terms of Freka, he came with a very reasonable request, right? But they were
Hmm.
saying, we gave y'all all this. Are you not happy? You get what I'm saying? And so he was like, no. But you know what would make me happy if you guys showed that we truly are equals? If you marry my son, he's fine. I brought the fine shit. If I like, he didn't bring some ugly whatever. He
Yeah,
brought a good
true.
looking
Well,
guy who had a relationship with his daughter. And even Wolf was like, what's your beef? Like, she was like, I'm not trying to be just married off. And he's like, well, I also love you. So, like, there's that. We could do this. And she was like, nah. And then she, like, moves on. And I was like, they were being reasonable. And he punched him to
Yeah.
death in front
To
of all
death.
his. In front of all his homies, like that's worst case scenario.
Yeah, I just, and he's and done lending, and he's, he clearly there's a problem he has with these people, and they,
yeah.
I understand why they framed Freka, how they framed them, because they wanted, I understand that, they wanted you to understand, hey, there's going to be an issue here, but
Yeah,
somebody give a backstory, at least to explain how this tension, because clearly this tension came about. Why does he keep calling them Dunlending? Who are the Dunlending? Somebody that I feel like the Shield Maiden should have. She told every other story to tell a quick
she told
story.
everybody,
She told every other story to tell a quick
yo,
story. Well, when back in the day when Rohan was founded, it was actually given to the men of the North, and they became the Rohirrim. But on the westernmost border, there were already people living there, and some of them were displaced. And so there's always been 10. How quick did I just say that? It hasn't
yeah,
been 15
Yeah.
seconds. And
but
then you're like, oh, so
I
he's related to some of these people, and he's a Rohirrim. That's why they're looking at him funny. That's why they don't want him to get married into the family, is because uh, Wolf and him are part Dunlending, and they look at them as lower class people that we've been beefing with, and they took their land and displaced them. Why would they want them to? Okay, now
but
I
they
see why him feels that way and why Freckle feels that way, and now
they
it's a
explain
problem.
that in some way or form. They explain it in the beginning where I got that
Okay.
context.
Okay.
Like I understood that they saw the Dunderlings as less than. And whether or not Freka was half Dunderlin, half Rohirrim, I think the most important part was they were from a place that was clearly displaced, right? Because when she goes and see Wolf, he's able to galvanize and unite a bunch of. I instantly thought of wildlings from not Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, but essentially those
Yeah,
type of people,
type of
right?
people. Yeah,
Where
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
it was clear these were men that they didn't consider civilized, that were united under this cause for Wolf. And even the way he fought, even the way he was like, that honor shit is stupid. This is how we're moving, showed me that he was from something else. But also when the Shield Maiden was talking in the beginning, she was making it clear that they were occupying a space that the Dunlindens lived in. So even though they didn't outright say it, I kind of liked it because the specifics aren't important in terms of the beef. The point is he tried to squash it. And the king said, get out of here with that. I would never. And then Wolf tried to squash it again right before he attacked. And the princess said, nah. You know what I'm saying? He
Which
gave
is all
her.
right though. Which is all right. She ain't
It's
got to get
her
married. Nobody she don't want
right.
Yeah.
It's not 2024. It's Middle Earth, and th- thousands of people died because she wouldn't marry this man. And I'm all for women's rights. I feel that. Sometimes you gotta take the L. Sometimes you gotta take the L. Her entire family died because she wouldn't marry this fine man that she was being racist towards. That's what I got out of this. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. And later I was like, actually, that was a good decision. He probably would have abused you and it wouldn't have been a good life for you. But those thousands of people who died during that winter in Helms, those thousands of people who died at the fight, your brother, that horse who got tired, all died because you wouldn't get married to this man.
Yeah.
You
No,
know what
but
I'm
was it
saying?
Good
on
point. Good point.
her for refusing to marry against her will, or on her father for behaving like an absolute
It's
jackass
both.
about it?
It's both.
He
Yeah,
didn't have to go and kill
he did
Freka
not. I
or
will say he was
outlaw
That was
shocked.
wild.
him.
He was shocked. He was shocked. He thought he could
Like,
take a
oh,
punch.
oh, this shit
Right?
do work.
Yo, facts. He punched him and they said he's dead. He said, "Whoa."
You're like,
I just hit
what?
him the once.
He said, I didn't know you had a glass jaw." So I will
Mm.
say, but even they told him that, and that's why he said, take it outside. There was like, it's unseemly for you to fight this man. You're a king, and I agree. So even though he took it outside, he didn't privately fight him outside. He took him outside, and everyone who was just in that throne room was outside. I
Yo,
had
he
something
choked
to
Wolf.
him. Oh, and then he choked out Wolf. Yes.
Yeah,
I
that
was
too.
like,
Yeah.
he's disrespecting both of them.
Yeah, you can't be
And
mad at the man because
Yeah.
you killed his father and he's upset. You know what I'm
yeah.
Yeah.
saying?
And
Now,
then
in
this
the
is
book, he does do it privately.
And in the book, he does do it privately. Yeah,
But I think that's also to paint Wolf's anger,
yeah,
right?
yep,
There's a
yep.
line, I wrote it down here. Without vengeance, this will all be for nothing. That's what Wolf tells Oh Boy at the end. He's like, we need to just give it up. And he's like, I need proper vengeance, or these thousands of
What do
people that
we
I
what do we even
killed.
do this for? The
Yeah.
whole
Why
point
did
was
we
because
even
of him.
do it? Yeah, and we needed to give it. I think getting rejected by the king, privately rejected by his daughter, your father being punched to death, and then you being yoked up in front of all your constituents is enough for war.
Yeah,
And
and he's a
me
lord.
personally,
And
and
he's a
he's a lord.
lord. And one of the causes, like I absolutely get, one of the causes was to unite these peoples to actually squash the beef. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Or to strengthen Rohan and to make those people, it would have made them whole and it would have made you know what I mean? And I think they looked at it as some kind of usurpation, but I don't necessarily think that's what Freckle was trying to do. He wasn't trying to get his bloodline on the throne. He was just saying, hey, yo, listen, this is better option than you marrying her off to Gondor. Like, you know what I mean?
He did call his daughter a hoe though. When he said
Yeah, like
that,
he was talking spicy
he did
before
call
that
her.
fight got started.
Well,
Said everybody had a run on your daughter. Why can't my
Yeah, like
son?
yeah, he did. Yeah, he did talk a little wild. He did talk a little wild.
I
So,
gotta punch you.
yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. In both cases, I properly understood. But I do think, to your point, that Helm was being a little paranoid. And that's what I mean about the shield maiden kind of setting it up. I think the act of Freka calling that meeting and not requesting that the king call that meeting put him in the headspace of, you're trying to take my spot, right? Because what's gonna happen when my daughter marries your son? Actually, no. Because he had two sons. That's what got me. It's not like
He does.
he
He doesn't
only,
lose the throne. That's the thing. He doesn't. It
yeah.
just. It just unites the people.
And they
That's it.
were
He doesn't.
and they
He
were
doesn't lose.
good options. The
Yeah.
older one was so fine. I was like, why did they
Yeah.
draw him like this?
Yeah.
Fucking
His son would have
Chris
just.
Hemsworth.
Their child would have just became a lord. Their child would have never been the king. The
That
king
that that's what
succession
got
of the
me.
line.
But that showed how much he didn't respect the Dunderlings, right? Because he was like, I don't want to create an alliance because that's what he was asking for. Let's build an alliance together. And he was like, why? So I can have some brown babies? Absolutely not. Like
Yo, and
that's what
this
it
is
felt like.
this is a teachable moment where it's one of those instances where I know so much lore that this harkens to another event that this actually happens and it actually full on war happens. So in Gondor, you know that the Gondorian kings are descendants from Numenorian, like Aragorn, so on. They're
Yeah.
from Numenor. So the royal line is Numenorian. absolutely Númenórean, and they're pure blood. So what happens is you get to one of the kings, they marry one of the Northmen that are like related to the Rohirrim. Actually, they marry one of them, and so now their first cousin is like, what? Your son going to be the king? He's only half Númenórean. What are we doing? Their bloodline's not pure anymore. We can't do this. So he makes a big fuss about it. And his name is Castamere. And he's like, yo, and he tells everybody like in the kingdom, like, yo, what are we doing? We got the same grandfather. Like, I'm pure Númenórean. This guy's half Northman. What are we doing? That shit is not rocking. And so the dude's name is Eldacar, the half, the son who's half, and he becomes the king. And so Casimir goes against him, and literally he got a big backing because they're like, yeah, man, that ain't
Yeah.
we can't keep the blood pure. And he goes against him, and he usurps him, and he takes the throne. And it's a big fight, and it's called the Kinstrife in Gondor. And that's literally how that middle city that we see in the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
That's
with the Black Queen. Her.
that
But
that
that
literally is how that gets destroyed because of that and shit. So I see that like they worried about that. People are worried about, yo, I don't want to mix with y'all.
and I think that's the point, right? Anybody who wants what you have can find a reason, right? Because we're seeing that's what game House of the Dragon is the same thing, right? Where this one house has an monopoly over an entire spot because they own dragons. And then because one girl was popping, they're like, you know what? We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna usurp her. And now there's a civil war between the only people who can destroy you are your own people.
People, yeah.
And when you're up top, that's the only people who can take you down. Even with that queen that we see right now, like when she was usurped in Numenor, right? Oh
Yeah.
boy, Jack Black, he was tripping about I'm sorry, I forgot their names. None of that felt like it was race driven, and that's very hard to do. It was clear he just wanted her spot. The way he was like whispering about it, the way that he was talking about magic, and then the next thing is he got that ball out. You know what I'm saying? But I say all that to say that no matter what, when your kin is ready to usurp you, they're gonna find a reason, right? They're gonna say, "Yo, my man is left-handed. We can't have no left-handed king on the throne. If you interpret this script this way, left-handed is evilness. Our kingdom will fall." You know, and so you could always find a reason to do so. It was one of the proudest moments, like as a black woman, to see like a queen, like dressed full regalia, going to war, and to have like a parade for her. This is just a huge thing off a house. But yes, I think that goes back to Helm and just him being so afraid of being usurped when not only did he have an heir that was like a really good heir, he had a spare, which also was a really good spare. Like the second son was nothing to sneeze at. He wasn't as big, like frame wise, but I interpreted it as he was younger.
And
So
he had a
Yeah.
spare
he had
with
a spare.
Freylof.
Then yeah, what do you mean? He had a third son?
No,
Well,
but
no.
Freylof would get the line. It goes to the sister son after the death of the boys because it's not it's a
You talk about
patriarchy.
Hera.
Women are
Hera.
not, yeah.
Yeah,
Hera
women don't
was
become
never going
queens
to, yeah.
in
Yeah, but
Rohan.
well, that would have been the issue, right? He's like, what if my two sons die? Then
It
this
would go to
brown boy.
Freylof, and so that he had a spare. It was
Does
good. I
Freyloff
really
man?
enjoyed him.
Does he
As
marry Hera? Was I reading?
no, you're bugging.
Oh,
You're
they're cousins.
reaching.
No, they're cousins.
They're first
Yeah.
cousins.
She
And
called them
not,
cousins, but
yeah.
it was feeling very sexually tense, and maybe because I read too much Game of Thrones,
I
but
think that's what it is.
I think it's just
no,
his
at the
Freya
end,
laugh was really hot.
He's a
it
good
wasn't just
person,
hot.
and he loved his cousin, and he
At the
loved his
end,
respect.
she was like, I'm leaving. And this is after she's like, at first I was like, oh, maybe Hera's like asexual because she was like, I'm not trying to get married at all, and there wasn't like any woman around for me to think, oh, maybe she's gay.
Yeah.
But then at the end, they had to me sexual tension. And he's like, what else do you owe me? And she's like, my love. I was like, who talks to their cousin like that? Like this girl had many intimate moments with her cousin throughout the film. And then at the end, it felt like she was saying, like, I said no to the fine shit because You know, because she was interacting with her brother, who's also very handsome, but I didn't read any of those moments
You go, I'm gonna let you.
romantically.
I'm gonna let you. This one, I'm gonna just let your mind
Cause
wander.
I was grossed out though. I was grossed out. I was like, are they related? Because she was saying cousin, but just that very last scene felt very odd to me. Like it was placed in. But to your point, it could be Game of Thrones is ruining me. Like
It's
they're
wrong.
they're
That's
make
Yeah,
what
I
it
think
they're
is.
making the
yeah.
cousin
Yeah.
thing so the cousin and sibling marriage in that is so second nature. It's so weird.
Yeah.
And they tie it to magic too. Which brings me to another point I have here. I love, even though we know that in Lord of the Rings, magic exists, like all that exists. I love that in this story in particular, everything was legend and us assigning magic and the people assigning magic, right? That old woman who came up and was like talking, they were assigning the lessons that they needed from her, right? When she
Yeah.
was like, let's burn this loud, they were like, yes, I need to let go of my older. That's what she's saying. But really, she was like, this shit is wood. Let me go ahead and burn it. You
Yeah. Like
know?
yeah.
And
Like
with Hammerhand, that legend, he was just delirious, right? He was already healed. He had been in there for long enough that they're like, he's completely healed,
He's
but
just
men,
depressed as shit,
he's
man.
just
yeah.
depressed.
He's
And
in
he
this
woke
depression and he taking that shit out, like
on
Yeah.
hugging out on
everyone.
y'all.
And
Mm.
everyone. And the men that he was fighting were emaciated. They were out in the cold for a very long time. And I don't think any of them were really soldiers. They weren't like that, like him. So when he came out, an actual soldier who they were, I don't know how, feeding and keeping warm this entire time, when he came out to fight these emaciated, cold soldiers, of course he was taking them down in one punch. You know what I mean? Who never fought in a battle. But they were like, this is a legend. This man got magic. He's a wraith. You know what I mean? And of course, he also looked super white. These were brown men. So, like, and he was in the castle all the time. So, I don't know. I just love that. In this case, I know that magic exists and these things could be true, but it was very clear. They made it clear that these were people who were desperate, assigning legend to normal people.
Okay. Okay. I see you, Frankie. There you go. That's what
Like,
we here
Yeah.
for.
You know, I
watch
thought
them.
that that's why anime lent itself particularly well to the story, because in the story, Helm is just larger than life, right? He's just this impossible to imagine, impossibly strong, scary unit of a warrior. And to show that in like live action, where he would actually be such a bigger person than the people he was fighting, might have looked a little strange. But
Mm,
in this, like you could imagine it the way they were, showing, the angle for him. He
mm.
just seemed like it was like blown up, but it could have been in your mind. It didn't have to be real necessarily, right? He could be bigger than he was, but only in your mind and not necessarily literally physically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was very well fed in Diesel. Because if
And
you look at
Diesel.
Freka,
But do
Freka
we
was a
know how he
lord,
was
and
well
Freka was
fed?
well fed. Freka
But
wasn't no
and
little
but
dude.
he wasn't in shape,
He
right?
was.
And
He,
they there's a scene where they're looking at
Oh
each other
crap.
and
Oh
they're the
yeah,
same
shit.
height, but Freka is chubby and Helm is in shape. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
they're
Yeah. Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
to, and
Freka.
as they're walking up to the fight, because Freka is, I'm assuming, 10, 20 years younger than Helm, they are concerned for Helm because Freka is more or less the same size. And they're like, ugh, Helm, you ain't fighting a minute. Like, Freka's from the hood. Can you do this? And Helm is like, I think I got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, nah, he ain't had
Uh, he did
it.
not. No, I'm not Freka. Helm says it. He's like, I think I got it. And he did. He did
Yeah,
indeed
nah,
have
he
it.
had that. Yeah. The one thing I will say though is that the in the lore the Dunlendings, they are I'm gonna say seasoned warriors because they have been fighting Rohan off and on for years.
But
And yeah,
those people weren't all Dundalins. Like he had recruited just people, and that's what they were talking about, right? Like there were Dundalins there, but he was recruiting everyone who had issues with Rohan to join his cause. And that's why this is what I interpret. That's why Hera was so shocked when she came there that she was like, "This is more than Dundalings. Like, how did you get all these people together?" And he was like, "Nobody fucks with your family." It's what it just said in the back.
but he's
It
recruiting.
said,
He was recruiting
yeah.
people. What the real smart thing is, which they didn't play too much up on this, but just for knowledge sake, So now going forward in the future, you notice he recruited people that had beef with Gondor. So
With Gondor, which is
Gondor, the South
okay.
Roans. In this real story, he's like he recruits some of the Easterlings, the South Roans. I'm not sure about the Haradrim, but these are people that are all historically beefing with Gondor. So
Yeah.
basically, what it is as we saw in the Lord of the Rings, when we see Sauron is going to attack Gondor, but what does he do first? I can't attack Gondor. I got to get rid of the Rohirrim first because they're going to
Yeah.
come to Gondor's aid. So let me stop them first, and then nobody will be able to come. Because what would have happened if Rohan didn't come at the end of the Return of the King? Gondor would have lost.
Yeah,
Gondor would have
yeah, yeah,
lost.
yeah.
So
And
they
that
have a
and
pact with each other.
and he knew that they wouldn't ask Gondor for he says that too. He was like, ain't no way he gonna ask Gondor, so we could just wipe
But
him out
Gondor
for
has
free.
an oath to come to Rohan's aid. So he was like, yo, I'm going to recruit help. I'm going to get these people. And then they're already beefing with Gondor. And they're going to, they kind of were fighting with Gondor. And so Gondor couldn't help. And so it was the
Right.
same type of thing, but vice versa.
But
And that's why he was
I
recruiting
thought
them.
it was clear that these weren't soldiers, and that's why there's that scene where he lies to them about there being gold inside because they're not soldiers. They
Like, oh,
don't have
yeah,
a
I see what you're saying.
yeah, they're not they don't have allegiance to him. So he's like, "Well, how you gonna get these people? These aren't your people. These aren't Dundalins. These are just people who's beefing with Gondor." And he's like, "I got something for you." And then he says, "There's gold inside."
There's
Instead.
gold in there.
The go ain't no God. I knew there wasn't no gold in there. I was like, but to me it was compelling, right? Because what if there was gold in here? Like he said, there's no use for it inside. They can't burn it, they can't eat it.
Eat it.
So
Yep.
they
Can't
just
trade
sit
it.
in it.
Yeah.
He was driven further into madness. And it was sad to see that because I was, like you said, I was empathetic with him at first. I was like, damn, man, it's fucked up what happened. I understand why he's going to war. He's definitely taking it too far. Like, he would have been good. Like, the captain kept telling him, all right, man, like, we shouldn't kill him. We shouldn't kill the son now. We done got other them. The other one, it was a fight. This one, we got as a prisoner. We might as well keep him.
She
And
just rejected him for a
yeah,
second
he was like,
time.
yeah, he drove in
A
the mat.
third time.
He's like, oh, you bold. You bold, boy. We just burnt your city to the ground, killed your brother. You still acting like that? All right.
No facts. Because it came. I'm sorry, but once again, Helm came out and was talking spicy to him. And I mean, he begged at the end, like, don't kill my son. But at first, he was like, F you. And he's like, we just burnt your city. Why are you talking to me like that? But you're right. Like, he was taking it a little bit too far. And that's what I mean by, like, yeah, Helm's, the Rohirrim had to get their lick back. But, like, Hera came out to embarrass him, right? She came out in a wedding dress, not even armor to fight him. So now it's beef. Now no matter what the outcome is, we gotta fight. I gotta burn this place down because why would you come out in a wedding dress to fight me and embarrass me in front of my homies like that? I can't. I want him to go home. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, do it. You gotta take my life right here.
You gotta kill me. You
You
gotta
gotta
kill me.
work me.
Remember there was a drummer who
At the
was
top.
going, he was going so hard the whole time. And I was like, imagine like you're at a bar and you're like, so what do you do? I'm actually a war drummer. It's a beautiful craft I've been traded for. It
Yo, that
was so
intimidation
good.
factor though is so dope. That I
What?
love that.
Yeah.
Tolkien incorporates that in a lot of his stories when people are going to war. There's always either the orcs or the soldiers are doing something to dishearten the other people, and it's
Yeah.
actually so dope. Like like in Helm's Deep, the battle in the book, they're laughing at the people and so they're laughing at the people in the Hornburg in Helm's Deep. The Uruk-hai are laughing at them like, "Yo, come out! Why y'all hiding back there?
Why
Like,
y'all up
come
there?
out!
Yeah.
Yeah, come on down!" Like, and it's like, damn, that's messed up. So it's like it takes your morale away. So I love
Yeah.
that. And a drummer, it's like that's mad intimidating. Somebody's drumming, like, "Yo, you're drumming, bro. We're
Yeah.
going at war,
And
and you're drumming."
you saw they took him down first, right? They said, get that drummer out of here. I don't want to hear
Nah,
this.
you
Yeah.
gotta go,
They
my guy.
played Kendrick immediately. Yo, but I think even Peter Jackson, I thought was really good at setting the tone and putting people in the mindset of them, right? Like, to your point, I could feel in the Battle of Helm's Deep that the orcs was coming to have a good time. And it was palpable how tense and serious it was at Helm's Deep, right?
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
silent.
Mm.
It's
Silent.
silent. There's like a good 2 minutes. They're
Mm.
just sitting there in silence. Legolas brings his little boyfriend up there, even though he knows he can't see over the thing. Even though he
Gimli.
can't see, Gimli can't see over the top. He can't do anything up there. But Legolas is like, I can't die without my friend.
I
So
have a bad friend.
I need him up there. And actually, I made a note about this too. That there's a scene where Hera, before the siege happens at their home, Hera's talking to both their brothers, and they're getting ready to ride out. And it's clear, it's palpable that they all know this is the last time they're gonna see each other. And there's so many moments where I was like, maybe they will reunite. You know what I'm saying? Like the brother takes down that elephant Legolas style. That's very cool. Um, it's just all, it just feels like they're gonna meet again and they end up not seeing each other again.
So
Um,
sad.
I never seen a horse get tired.
Yeah, that
Yeah, they
happened.
sure
Is
can.
that in
Look,
the text?
No,
actually,
that's not how
yes.
Hammer dies, though.
It's not how Hammer dies, but horses get tired. They say the only horse that doesn't get tired is Shadowfax. They explain that,
Or
like,
the
Who
Miras,
who
yeah,
yeah, the
who's
horses,
matters,
yeah.
yeah.
whose
So
whose
Gandalf's
horse is that?
horse.
Oh, Gandalf's horse.
Gandalf's
Okay.
Yeah,
horse is the
yeah.
only horse that is not afraid, is the only horse that doesn't get tired. Like, yeah, they
Mm,
explain it. Now they don't, there's not a specific moment where they're like, oh, this person ran this horse to the ground where they, but they explain that like the only horse that wouldn't have been able to make this journey or do this, like when Gandalf takes Pippin to Minas Tirith, he has
yeah.
to run. He can't stop. There's no time. He's like, all right, you done fucked up. We gotta go. He doesn't, they literally go immediately there all the way. And they were like,
Uh,
the way Shadowfax ran, like no other horse would have been able to do that. This, that, and the
ah,
third,
I
because
I
he's, a royal horse.
I really love that detail because I never considered that a horse could be tired. I never considered what it's like to ride a horse, and they were reminding me throughout the entire film, right? When that elephant comes earlier, when she feeds it to that, I don't know what it is, but the thing that was like, I'm so
What did
sorry.
you say?
That's what it looked like when it was eating it. It looked like with teeth, and then it turned into
Oh,
The
the
Watcher in
Watcher
the
eating.
Water.
Yeah, no, that was so
yeah.
wrong. I was
It
watching
looks
that.
so
I was like,
very weird.
that ain't
But
right.
when what are those elephants called? Because they were
They're called
Olifants.
Oliphants or Mumakil.
Mumakil. Okay,
Mumakil.
so when it came, the first thing they were able to show you was they couldn't get back on their horses because the horses were spooked. You know what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
she was trying to rally up her horses, she was trying to get the horse, and then when she got on it, she was trying to like ride with the horse. And I love that. So she was being chased by horses at one point, and some of them couldn't jump the way her horse was. And I was like, I love that the horses are like an actual character here that we're seeing. And so when I saw that horse sweating, breathing heavy, I was like, yo, this horse has been running for a minute. I get it. And when he slowed down, I was like him. I was like, I'm not even mad at you for real. Cause like he was like, you did the best you can. I feel you. I
Hmm.
couldn't do that run.
I love how she set it up. Like, yo, man, use my horse, man. Your horse is kind of,
She
you
did say it. She was like,
Yeah, they did.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's kind of much of this faster. Use your horse.
and he knew it too, right? Wolf knew too. He was like, "We'll send people with horses." She was like, "She'll outrun them. Like she has a really good horse." So they already say that her horse is pretty fire.
Yeah.
So which is also put in my mind why she was able to outrun her brother's horse too.
Hmm.
Um,
It was dope.
I never thought I'd like a horse like that. It was crazy. I never thought I'd think about
Wait
it
till
like
you when you're reading the books. Wait till you get to build a pony.
yeah. Oh, that's so
Aw.
cool.
Yeah, everybody loves Build a Pony in the Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
Like
that
it's this thing. It's a thing. Like everybody loves him so much. He's like one of the most beloved creatures in the entire Legendarium.
Well, he's
It-
also like the only horse to actually make it home after all the adventures, so
everybody
we're a
horses
little
die.
attached to him for that reason.
Yo, and he doesn't, and it's crazy because he doesn't particularly do anything, but you just root for him, yo. You're like, yo, Bill, this is the best guy because of what he came from the slums. Like he was mistreated, like he was treated bad, and then the bad guy purposefully gives them the pony to slow them down. But then soon as he's not with the bad guy no more, he gets revitalized. He's like, oh, I'm good with good people. He start eating good, and he's actually a good mule for them. He's a good horse, pony for them. And yo, he's with them for most of the journey, and then they just can't take him where they go. They're like, yo, we can't take you. So then you're like, yo, but they leaving him to die. He's about to die because they're about to die, and they're like, damn, I wonder if he made it home. And then you find out, yo, he made it back home. He with the good people now. Like
He's
it's crazy. So
chilling.
you root for him. So shout out to Bill the Pony, man.
I
Shout out to Bill.
love that. I have like three notes here where I talk about Helm is rude. The
Super
way he
rude.
was talking to his cousin, to Hera's cousin, when they came back and he was like, she could have died. And I was like, he just got Hera from a stronghold with a 50-year-old shield maiden and a squire. Like, give my man his propers. And
Yeah.
like, he did exactly what you told her to do. You said protect Hera. She came back. She was no worse for the wear. She wasn't hurt. She had a little scratch on her cheek. I will say that. But like, there was nothing about her that was really hurt. So I'm like, what's your issue? You said protect her. He did exactly his job. She got taken up, and they immediately went to save her and brought her back home within a night. Like, what are
Yeah.
we saying? And you're like roughing him up and being mean to him. Why? And I think that also painted that like Helm was this legend that people idolized, but he wasn't a perfect man. And I like that a lot, to know that like he had a temper, he was mean, he was hot-headed,
Yeah, prideful. It was done out of love, you could
prideful.
tell, but
Right.
he was using it wrong. He doesn't realize it to the end. He doesn't realize what his actions have done until the end. He's like, damn, me
Yeah.
acting like I kind of don't want to use the word toxic masculinity, but
Well, it's
he
not
knows
not.
himself. He's one of those
Yeah,
people he know I'm that dude.
Yeah.
Who is you to this is my daughter. I'm a protector any way I see fit instead of how she needs to be protected in real life. Like, yo, her
Or
cousin
wants to
actually did
be.
good.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like she trusts him and she said, yo, no, it wasn't him. No, I said this. He's supposed
yeah,
to just follow whatever I said and nothing should have happened. It's supposed to have been beyond him. When in reality, like, yo, dude, this is something that you started and your
exactly.
actions is the one
Yeah.
that brought this about. I did what I was supposed to do. I charged the Muma kill. What are you talking about, my guy? Like
Yeah.
I charged the Muma kill to try to save her, which is
Hmm.
crazy. And you know
But
what I'm saying? Even though he didn't succeed, that bravery shows you I made me love Freylo so much. He didn't think twice
wait,
about it.
yes, he did charge the Moo Moo Cow. But you
He
saw
sure
she
did.
had to wake up a mythical creature to take that animal down.
Yeah, yeah,
Tree head
yeah,
Like,
facts.
watcher.
yeah, she could. It wasn't some like chill stuff. I agree. I agree. And to your point, he didn't even decline. He never once brought up Hera when he was declining this marriage proposal, right? Because for all he knew, they were in love. He wasn't like, well, what does she want?
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
None
never
of
thought in
that.
mind.
They were talking about her like she was an asset,
He
and he was
wasn't in the
like,
room. Yeah.
you
Very,
can't have
very
my things.
Aladdin-esque.
It
Very
was
Aladdin-esque
very
with Princess
Aladdin.
Jasmine
Fascinating.
and the father and Jafar talking about
Mm.
how she's going to get married and don't give her any input on the situation. What about me? What do I want? You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying? So that's the vibes that I got over that. You know what I'm saying?
Ex-
So
exactly. And two, all right, when they went to go charge Edoras, Frolov was chilling somewhere waiting for them somewhere else. And to me, it made it seem like they were charging in a place that they didn't anticipate they would come from. Am I wrong there?
no, so even though Edoras is I mean, it's not something you would know unless you read the books. So even though Edoras is the capital and it's like the main place, it's n not very defendable. So this is why they always leave. They're like, oh, whatever, we'll rebuild if we have to. We'll go to Dunharrow or they go to Helm's Deep. Dunharrow is where Freyloff was because that's one of the strongholds where they gather all their army and things like that. It's a stronghold. And also Helm's Deep is the most fortified place. They go there. Edoras is like literally on a
It's
hill
just
and
open, yeah.
open. So yeah, it's easy to attack it. That's why even in the Lord of the Rings, it's like, oh, let's retreat to Helm's Deep. They defended their horsemen, so they can defend it really well. You know what I'm saying? But if there's ever a situation where they're just outnumbered or something like that, they retreat and go somewhere else. So they
You
like
could, and
fucking
they
have that.
evacuate. I love that Hera peeped what was going on, and it showed her strategy as well. Because she was like, this is what's happening. And her immediate response was to evacuate, which I thought was pretty cool. So he was waiting at the other, you're saying he was at the other
It's
stronghold,
called Dunharrow. Yeah.
Dunharrow, and he had been waiting for them to give him the go ahead to attack or
Yeah, he
what to
can't
do
do nothing.
next.
His uncle said you banished or
He's
whatever.
gone,
So he still stayed loyal. He didn't leave Rohan, nothing. He's like, man, I'm gonna wait till this shit blow up. I'm standing on business for my uncle or whatever. But he can't. He literally can't. The laws prevent him from really doing something until Hera. Obviously, Helm's dead, so Hera is kind of like over making a decision like, yo, we need you come, and now he can actually do it. You know what I'm
And
saying?
they won.
He was abiding by what his uncle had said. You
And
know what I'm saying?
honestly, messing around with Helms, they would have lost, right? Like him sending his nephew off and not even like after they realized he charged, I don't know if they sent ravens or something. He didn't even say, let's send a raven to our nephew. And to
Yeah,
their
he ain't
point,
see nothing.
and Wolf knew that. Wolf knew that about him. He's prideful, he's mean. He's not even gonna ask his allies that aren't in Gondor. Yeah, that aren't in Gondor. He's not even gonna ask his homies, his nephew, what's going on. And because of that, they were so underprepared because it was just their people. And yeah, it made I thought them hiring Logan Roy, oh my gosh,
yeah, from Succession.
was so perfect. I thought it was
Like grumpy
so
voice.
perfect. Yeah. And I had the pleasure going to the panel at San Diego Comic-Con, and he's really like that. Like the actor himself is actually like that. The way he was answering questions and stuff like that was so in line with how I interpreted Helm, how I interpret Logan Roy. That I was like, this is a perfect casting. He's a man that you want to follow because he's authoritative, he's powerful, and like there's just something about his demeanor that you want to follow, but that doesn't necessarily make him a good leader. Um, it's just that he has a lot of good people around him that can help him, you know?
I want to also just give you a quick shout out and props on what you're doing. So, what's up with your show that you got
Ah,
going on? Like, tell
yeah.
us a little about that. Like,
Yeah,
what's up?
it's exciting. So I am a co-host on the DC Studio Showcase with Tyler Coates. It's so cool. It's so cool. I've been a DC fan. You guys, it's kind of blurred because
I've noticed.
stuff.
I roll my eyes when I see it, but I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I love DC. I grew up on DC. Actually, knew better, do better. I grew up on DC because of Milestone. And when I was younger, Marvel didn't have a milestone. They didn't have like a sector of just black characters created by black people that I could read. And so that's why I initially got into DC and just sheer youth just kept me loyal even during the dark ages where like all we were getting were films that didn't live up to the comic books. We have one episode out. It comes out every other Friday. We're starting off just talking about Creature Commandos, but really
mm.
we're here to break down everything, to be a place to like talk about, break down, and discuss everything coming from the DC Studios showcase from DC Studios.
I also wanted to give you some props and highlight you're a big advocate for black voices in these spaces, and it's dope that to see someone who looks like me and we both from New York and to hear you talk and you know what I'm saying in this space and so it's just so cool to see not only a black or brown face, but a female face and hear the voice and a voice that's so open and so unrelenting. And it's so that's dope. I just want to give you a props on that. You're always
Thank you.
advocating for those voices and you're always speaking up. Y'all be drowning me in deep waters. I have to deal with Callie and Lee and as much knowledge as much knowledge and finesse that they have, when they see a hot elf they lose it. They turn into
Why
the
they do
like
that?
kitty bopper girls with tiger beat on the wall. Like it's wild. They be like, oh my God, whatever his
Speaking,
name is. They play a game. What's it called? Baldur's Gate. What is it? What is it?
Oh, Baldur's Gate 3.
Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate 3, which
And
is
they fall
Asterion.
in love with a character.
Asterion,
Yo,
I'm a
yeah.
they
Syria.
be they be drooling. So when y'all lose me, because I don't know, I can't speak for all
That's
guys, but
because the
as a guy,
women. the women don't be doing the same. They don't frame the women, and that's how I know that it's only men writing these stories. They don't frame the women the way they frame the man. Why did
Yeah.
Aaron there? Why he talk to that ant like that? Unless they all want us to lust over him. Like why he yeah,
What
like
you mean? That's how the elves talk to the dance. They talk to
He's
the
just
trees
no,
talking
like that.
respectful.
Yeah.
no,
Yes,
no,
read. You gotta read the book.
no.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I was like, why is he talking
Legolas
to
be
the ant
talking
like
like
this?
that in the book. Like
And
he's like,
everybody loves Legolas. What are we
yeah,
saying
but see,
here? I was
ah.
like, and that ant folded. That ant was talking nuts. She was talking crazy to everyone there. And he came up, he said, listen, honey, I'm here. I love you. Da, 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 da. And she was
I
like,
see you.
Copy right.
You saw,
I see
you
you.
wanted
I
to be the
respect
it.
you.
You wanted to be the it wife. That's why you saw yourself in a
And
place and you was like, "Ooh,
everybody was like, even the ant. Everybody was like, yo, why is he respecting Galadriel like that? He came up, he said, Galadriel, thank God. Oh my God, please. And he had been killing orcs all night. Galadriel came, he put his sword down. He said, go get him, please. I'm gonna relax. I'm not supposed to be in love. I'm not like, what are you saying here? Why did they frame him this way? Seeing you interview Felicity Day was
she was interviewing me."
Felicity,
insane.
yeah.
She was asking you questions.
Yeah,
And I'm like, they just got this kid from Brooklyn, like talking about Lord of the Rings. And it's like, it's so
Pretty cool.
crazy to me. To your point, like because we're smart, we're funny, and I love seeing that. I love seeing our voices and us. See, I would love to see a fantasy thing, a high fantasy show where instead of everybody speaking in like old English, they're just speaking in like New York and LA accent.
I
Right? And that's what I love about being in Lord of the Rings too, is there's so many points of entry and there's so many levels. I think that's very cool. I will say it's beginning to ruin other fantasy for me because I'm starting to see like how much is taken from Tolkien, and I like
it ruins it for me. I'll be trying to read it and I'll be like, "This stole this from Lord of the Rings." Before we go, I need you to answer a question for me. I have everybody answer this question. In the Lord of the Rings, any character that you know, if you could marry anyone, who would you marry? If you could have somebody protect you, who would you have protect you? And then who would you fight if you could fight any character from the Lord of the Rings?
I would marry Arendir, the Puerto Rican elf. Take
Okay.
Okay, around
home.
there we
Yeah.
go.
Protect me, Gandalf probably.
Okay.
But I need him to be Gandalf. He be playing like I can't be. I want full on Gandalf. I don't want to hear no. I can't use my magic. I can't be involved.
Yep.
All of it. Full on Gandalf. I love Mary and Pip, but I'd fight one of them. I throw these hands. I would. I would. I would. I'm sorry.
They be egging you.
They be high.
Pick on the little ones.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Anybody else, I don't think I could really throw hands with, you know? Like I could definitely, yeah, get them a little drunk. They always drunk. I could get them. And Pip is my favorite Hobbit, but I'd fight him.
You
Frodo,
be doing it.
anybody but Sam. I'd fight any Hobbit
Hmm.
but Sam.
Hmm.
Yeah, Sam is watching
Sam
it.
got hands. Sam took down a full thing of orcs. I said, okay.
Sam's
Whatever you
fights
do.
giant spiders. Sam ran up on
Yeah.
Aragorn. He's like, nah, what's
Yeah.
up? In the book, he runs up on Aragorn. Like, he runs up on him like,
I
nah,
believe
like,
it. I
yo,
believe
what's
it.
up?
Sam is
I
nothing to
said,
fuck
yo,
with.
thank you so much for answering the
Thank you
question.
guys.
Callie usually ends the podcast with some wonderful words of advice. She calls it, what do you call it again, Callie?
Self-care
Self-care. I
tips.
always forget
I
because I'm
love
podcast and I'm
that.
like, what is the thing called? Self-care tips. So we got the self-care tip, and then we'll get out of here. Thank you so much, by the way, for being a wonderful guest. Thank you for all your perspectives. It's just dope having you up here. It was awesome, man. So thank you. I appreciate
Thank
you coming on
you.
our little show. We trying to shine some light on, you know what I'm saying? Everybody make sure you follow Voices of Arda, like, share, comment. You know what I'm saying? Spread the word. We got a podcast, and we also have a coalition of content creators that are now part of the Voices of Arda brand that we've made it a thing. So it's not only just a podcast, but me, KaliCosplay, Belmont, we have Bard of Arda, we have Silmarillion, aka Lee, we have Kaya K, we have Miranda, who does Tolkien Tuesdays. So many people. I know I'm leaving a couple people out. We have Airplane Facts with Max. So all their content in one great place, one stop shop for all this Lord of the Rings content, and it's just a vibe. So make sure you follow the Voices of Arda YouTube page and check us out and spread the word. You know what I'm saying?
And
But
where can we find Frankie on online? Where are
You
you
can
at?
find me. You can find me anywhere at FantasticFrankey, FrankEY, or you can find me on Max at the DC Studio Showcase. We have episodes drop every other Friday, either on Max streaming services or on Max's YouTube if Max isn't in your country.
Ending the episode with our self-care tips as usual. This one is inspired by Hera in the War of the Rohirrim movie. It's how to be a strong, independent person. So step number one is to identify your goals and priorities. You can use the SMART system, which is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So if you're trying to figure out, how to set those goals, you can use that. Step number two is to develop self-reliance and confidence. Step number three is to build a support system. So being independent and self-reliant doesn't mean being isolated necessarily. Step number four is to learn effective communication skills. Step number five is to spend some time alone. So while I just said not to isolate yourself, you do want to spend enough time with your own thoughts to know that they are your own thoughts. Step number six is to try something new. And then finally, step number seven is to maintain it. So continuously work towards your goals, practice self-care and self-reflection. Don't be afraid to seek help when needed.
always a pleasure doing the show with you, Callie. Thank you so much for being our guest, Frankie. And
Thank
we
you.
will be back
Yeah.
with another episode very soon. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
Over and out.
Bye.
Voices of Order.